Hey folks, Brian here, PAX Unplugged 2020 with the part 3 of the 3 Damosels of the Fountain, the path of nursery burden. Now, at the end of each of these paths, they always take the players back to the fountain so they can get the next damsel to lead them on their quest. I didn't think about this until just now because the knights are still damaged. That maybe every time they go back to the fountain, they can get new new magical fairy ointment to heal them. So remember that for next time. So the old crone, she's not crone because they're all lovely uh, ladies of high and noble birth. There we go. But she takes them to a castle because there's a maiden there whose father is forcing on her a marriage with a bad, evil man. But the girl has a paramour, and the bad, evil man won't marry the girl if the girl's not a virgin. And so the paramour is going to make the girl not a virgin anymore. So that's what we're setting up here. Get to the castle, sneak her out, hook her up with her paramour. So they get to the castle, and the damsel of the fountain warns them to not be fooled by Sir Garhaus's visage. There's much more to him than it seems. Okay, so they show up. Cleane, maybe it's Cleane. Cleane, the maiden from the first quest, is there. She's the one being married off, and her father is Sir Garhaus. And there's some background. A couple of the player knights. Sir Garhaus had killed somebody they know, or had somebody they know killed, but he was able to blow it off. But they think there's something unright about him, so they're suspicious too. But she introduces the player knights to her father. Her father says, "Come feast, you know, regale us with your tales, and welcome, welcome, welcome. All kinds of good food, good wine, cream puddings, all kinds of great stuff, right?" And then the player knights can do all kinds of stuff here. They can do courtesy, they can do dancing, flirting, gaming, playing harp, singing, even romance skills can all be used here and checked on. And when you check a skill in Pendragon, it's like most Chaosium games. It means that you can get a skill increase when we do skill increase rolls. Okay, so while all this is going on, Cleane's sister, Bliane, younger sister, um, is not to be outdone by her sister. So she's out to get her hands on a knight as well. And so there's a couple things. There's the backgammon gambit, and then there's the dancing gambit. So these two little mini episodes within this whole scenario where Blean's trying to get her hands onto a player knight. And the idea is to spread load all the different amour passions that are going to be popping up throughout the game. So if somebody's already got something, leave them out of it. One of the guys is already married, so he's not interested. And then there was something else. Somebody else was not interested. So I came down with just two guys left, and there's two gambits. So that works out. Backgammon gambit with one guy, dancing gambit with the other. The backgammon guy has no gaming skill at all. He's got gaming skill of 5, and so he apologizes. He can't help. Sorry. So she goes poo poo and goes off. Later on, she comes to the other guy. No, she doesn't. Her handmaid, comes up to the other player knight. Said, "Sir Knight, that old ruffian, Sir Bloodisface, is about to ask my lady Bliane to dance. Please, sir, ask her to dance before he does." And then he's got to leap over the table in order to intercede, kind of thing, and then ask her to dance. It's just a dex roll, but he missed. So he hit the guy on the side, but he recovers, and that asks her to dance anyway. And of course, since he's interacting with Bliane, he has to make a chaste roll at -10 or -5. This is -5. But he actually failed that roll, so he develops the amour or love passion for Bliane, and he actually critically failed his chase roll. So I I took that critical failure factor and factored into how strong the passion roll was by saying it was supposed to be 2d6 plus 12. So I just took one of those d6 away, made it 1d6 plus 18. What does he roll? He rolls a 6. A 24 passion for this girl. And that actually comes into play a little bit later on. So after all this stuff's still going on, the party's still happening. The third damsel comes up and gathers the knights together. Okay, this is my deal. All right, here's my problem. We have to secrete or sneak. We need to sneak Clean out of the castle because her father is not going to let her out. So we can get her hooked up with her paramour. Come up with a plan because I can't do it myself. Oh, and there's this field of thorns. It's called the Field of Lover's Remorse that surrounds the entire castle. This kind of pops up the question of how the players get in. Well, it's on the road. Well, if the road's still open, can't we just go out that way? But I figured that once the party starts, fairy magic, right? I didn't pull that up because they're still talking about doing that road thing as they're making their plan. Anyway, they so they come with a plan. Oh, also, gotta get across this field. I can't ride like that. I need help. So we need 2 knights who are good at riding that can take one to take Cleane, the other to take the damsel. Everybody else get across. You have to make riding rolls to try and stay away from briar patches. If you miss, you take some damage, that kind of thing. That's the mechanics of it. But doing this thing, kidnapping the daughter, is a gross breach of hospitality. So we talk a little bit about, okay, so we're nice, we're not going to breach hospitality. Well, you're on a quest. There's certain things you can do. These guys are very suspicious of this guy. You know, maybe he's being held. She's being held by. I mean, why do we need to stick around in the first place? She's obviously being held. And, you know, what happens if we breach this hospitality thing? Well, we have some kind of, you know, black mark on our name kind of deal. The mechanic is you just lose 1 point of hospitality rating is all. So there is a mechanical cost to it. So, but it's not too bad. So they come up with a plan. They're going to roll her up in a carpet. They're going to sneak her. They're going to try and sneak her out that way. They're going to scare all. They're going to loose all the other horses out, and they're going to attempt. They're going to disguise Lady Conwenor and her squire as the damsel and Cleane to try and create a distraction as well. So all while they're doing this, they're going to armor up for it because they're planning. We're getting on the horses and we're taking off. Well, trying to sneak out with somebody in armor is not as easy as trying to sneak out with somebody without armor. And while there's 2 knights working with sneaking Cleane out. Oh, and just before this happens, Cleane goes to Sir Dinamore, which is the knight that has the passion for her, and says, I know you're going to sneak Cleane out. I will not be left alone. You must take me with you. Now what? So they say, okay, fine. We'll get you with Conwenor and her squire to act as Cleane to be part of that distraction. Well, I'm not going to let Cleane out of the house either, but I wasn't thinking that through at the point. I was trying to time all this out on what's happening when and where. So some of the folks are outside the castle. Some of the folks are inside the castle. Knights are trying to sneak out with Cleane. One makes it, the other doesn't. The guards notice, start calling for alarm. Sir Garhouse comes roaring out, rah! And he transforms before their very eyes. He grows larger, huge, dense muscles erupt into grotesque mockery of the human form. His skin becomes like the coarsest leather. He sprouts black, matted hair. His eyes protrude from his face and glow red with hatred, while his massive mouth fills with angry, sharp fangs. He screams, I will feast on your flesh! Oh, it's great. And then he picks up a bench. I roll randomly to see which knight he attacks. It was Ghislaine, if I remember right. Now, Sir Garhaus is in fact an ogre, a fairy, which is why his daughters also have fairy powers, though they don't know about it because he's pretending to be human. And so we do combat. They both attack him. He attacks one guy. There's a rule in Pendragon that if you're attacking more than one person, you have to split your combat skill among the two. But if you do that, you're really unlikely of doing either. Because his table bench skill is only 13. So essentially it is 13 on one, I guess 0 on the other kind of things, what it turned out to be. Anyway, he fought the one knight, and then I allowed the other knight to make attacks at him. Now, actually for this, because they were hitting the ogre, and the ogre was hitting back, make it a little more dangerous. When the other knight missed, then I allowed the ogre to attack him. But they took him down really quick. Even with his 15 points of armor. It was like 3 or 4 melee rounds worth of fighting. 1, 2, yeah, 1, 2, 3. 4 melee rounds of fighting before they finally took him down. And one of the players was out in the courtyard on the horse because he was just going to go out. Tried right back in, but fighting's go right there in the front of the hall by the door, so he wasn't able to do anything. And then, everybody saw. Not everybody. Everybody outside saw. All of the attendants, everybody inside the house, screamed and ran. They didn't know he was an ogre either. The damsel, essentially Cleane and Kalmanor and Kalmanor's squire are all still inside too because they were doing the whole let's get disguise kind of stuff. Right. Ogres go down, they all take off, they go out, and once the ogre died, the magical fairy field of thorns dissipates, goes away. And at this point, they don't need to make you horsemanships to get across the field because the briars are all gone. So they get glory, and they come to the Chapel of Love in the wilderness. And at this point, we've hit midnight. So I just narrate through this part about Paravir shows up. She gets off her horse. They're holding hands. They're all lovey-dovey. The Lady of Love shows up, opens the grotto, and in they go. She closes it. She has a little spiel about love and stuff, and then she addresses the player knights and invites them to join her secret company of knights. Knights of Love's Labor is what they are called. A couple of them do join. They both have to develop a loyalty passion for the Mistress of Love. They get a magic shield and a magic girdle that lets them do other special stuff. Essentially bonuses for courtly love kinds of things if they have a passion with the person they're using that skill with. So we wrapped it up pretty quick. And then they go back to the fountain where Lady Adventure is. She leads them out to the road and says, off to Camelot. And that's how it ends. Really cool scenario. I really liked it. Had a lot of fun. I had forgotten since Gen Con a lot of the mechanical rules kind of thing that are unique to Pendragon. Because I was focusing on the scenario itself to make sure it ran smoothly. I knew what was happening and how things were going. I actually went through and adjusted some of the verbiage on the talking parts too. Plus, I do this thing where I copy and paste from the actual scenario submission, and then I go through, I organize it my way. I highlight with colors for certain things so that I can get through stuff and stuff jumps out to me. That's how I do it. That's how I was prepping for this scenario. Because remember, I'm also in class. I've had readings to do and research to do, and I've got a paper that's due on Sunday. Yeah. too much going on. But anyway, I thought it was a great game. I had 3 players who were very active, very involved. One player near the very beginning of the game actually had to drop out. And then I had 2 other players that were pretty quiet, didn't really get involved in much. I tried to pull them in when I could with different stuff. But some personalities just that way. Happy gaming.